Hola, wizards. Shall we get back to the Book of the Dead? We're at the 8th day. Ooh, 8th day. Shall we see what's going on in the old Thoddle and the old Bardo? Right, so, page 25. The 8th day. Again, calling the deceased by name, address him thus. O nobly born! Listen undistractedly, not having been able to recognise when the peaceful deity shone upon thee in the Bardo above, thou hast come wandering thus far. Now on the 8th day, the blood-drinking, wrathful deities will come to shine. Act so as to recognise them without being distracted. O nobly born, the great glorious Buddha Heruka, dark brown of colour, with 3 heads, 6 hands and 4 feet firmly postured, the right face being white and the left red, the central dark brown, the body emitting flames of radiance, the 9 eyes widely opened in a terrifying gaze, the eyebrows quivering like lightning, the protruding teeth glistening and set over one another, giving vent to sonorous utterances of ah la la and ha ha and piercing whistle sounds. The hair of a reddish yellow colour standing on end and emitting radiance. The heads adorned with dried human skulls and the symbols of the sun and the moon. Black serpents and raw human heads forming a garland for the body. Sounds cheerful enough. The first of the right hands holding a wheel, the middle one a sword, the last one a battle axe, the first of the left hands a bell, the middle one a skull bowl, the last one a ploughshare. His body embraced by the mother, Buddha Krotishorima. Here we go with those lovely names again. Krotishorima, her right hand clinging to his neck and her left putting to his mouth a red shell filled with blood, making a palatal sound like a crackling and a clashing sound and a rumbling sound as loud as thunder, emanating from the 2 deities. Radiant flames of wisdom blazing from every hair pore of the body, and each containing a flaming dorji. The 2 deities together thus, standing with one leg bent and the other straight and tense, on a day supported by horned eagles. Horned eagles will come forth from within thine own brain and shine vividly upon thee. Fear that not. Be not awed. Know it to be the embodiment of thine own intellect. As it is thine own tutelary deity, be not terrified, be not afraid. For in reality, is it the Bhagavan Vairochana, the Father-Mother? Simultaneously, with the recognition, liberation will be obtained. If they be recognized, merging thyself in at-one-ment into the tutelary deity, Buddhahood in the Sambhoga Kaya will be one. So, really what it's saying is how you escape this matrix of reincarnation is to be able to let go of all your kind of lower emotions and to basically not be afraid of the radiance of your own inner self that is connected to the allness, the oneness. And when one can accept one's own terrifying side and one's own beloved side and not be terrified by one's own light and dark, but one can embrace it and become one with it, that's how we escape the matrix. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I'm getting from this book right now. The 9th day. But if one flee from them through awe and terror being begotten, then on the 9th day the blood-drinking deities of the Vajra order will come to receive one. Thereupon the setting face to face is calling the deceased by name. Thus, O nobly born, listen undistractedly. He of the blood-drinking Vajra order, named the Bhagavan Vajra Heruka, dark blue in colour, with 3 faces, 6 hands and 4 feet firmly postured. In the first right hand holding a dorji, in the middle one a skull bowl, in the last one a battle axe, in the first of the left a bell, in the middle one a skull bowl, in the last one a ploughshare. His body embraced by the mother Vajra Krotishorima, her right hand clinging to his neck, her left offering to his mouth a red shell filled with blood. I have a red shell filled with blood here. Some nice berry juice. Let's have some. Will issue from the eastern quarter of thy brain and come to shine upon thee. Fear it not, be not terrified, be not awed. Know it to be the embodiment of thine own intellect. I really like that bit. As it is thine own tutelary deity, be not terrified. In reality, they are the Bhagavan Vajra Sattva. The father and mother, believe in them, recognize them. Liberation will be obtained at once by so proclaiming them, knowing them to be tutelary deities, merging in them in at one-ment. Buddhahood will be obtained. The 10th day. Yet if one do not recognize them, the obscurations of evil deeds being too great, and flee from them through terror and awe. So it's basically like when your deeds have been so terrible that becomes within your consciousness a fear of self. I think that's really interesting. So you really, the only person you're running away from is yourself. On the 10th day, the blood-drinking deities of the precious gem order will come to receive one. Thereupon the setting face to face is calling the deceased by name thus. O nobly born, listen. On the 10th day, the, let me guess, blood-drinking deity of the precious gem order named Ratna Haruka, yellow of colour, having 3 faces, 6 hands, 4 feet firmly postured, the right face white, the left red, the central darkish yellow, haloed in flames. In the first of the 6 hands holding a gem, in the middle one a trident staff, in the last one a baton. In the first of the left hands a bell, in the middle one a skull bowl, in the last one a trident staff. His body embraced by the mother Ratna Krotishorima, her right hand clinging to his neck. She sounds really nice, sort of like clinging to a man by the neck. The old ball and chain. Her left offering to his mouth a red shell filled with blood. Will issue from the southern quarter of thy brain and come to shine upon thee. Fear not, be not terrified, be not awed. Know them to be the embodiment of thine own intellect. They being thine own tutelary deity, be not terrified. In reality, they are the father-mother. Bhagavan Ratna Sambhava, believe in them. Recognition of them and the obtaining of liberation will be simultaneous. The 11th day. Yet, though set face to face thus, if through power of evil propensities, terror and awe being produced, not recognizing them to be tutelary deities, one flees from them, then on the 11th day, the blood-drinking lotus order will come to receive one. Thereupon the setting face to face is calling the deceased by name thus. So remember, this is now we have a friend who's still alive, who sits there calling to the spirit of the dead or to their actual body if they're sitting there, if you missed part 1, part 2. So this is what it means by thereupon the setting face to face calling thus. This is like your brother, your friend, your sister who's going to help you through the slippery path of leaving your body and finding your way to the afterlife. O nobly born, on the 11th day, the blood-drinking deity of the lotus order, called the Bhagavan Padmaharuka, of reddish black colour, having 3 faces, 6 hands and 4 feet firmly postured, the right face white, the left blue, the central darkish red. I think I've seen some football supporters that look a bit like that. In the first of the right of the 6 hands holding a lotus, in the middle one a trident staff, in the last a club. And to beat you round the head, to beat some sense into you. In the first of the left hands a bell, In the middle one, a skull bowl filled with blood. In the last, a small drum. His body embraced by the mother Padma Krotishorima, her right hand clinging to his neck, her left offering to his mouth a red shell filled with blood. The father and mother in union will issue from the western quarter of thy brain and come to shine upon thee. Fear that not, be not terrified, be not awed. Rejoice, recognize them to be the product of thine own intellect, as they are, thine own tutelary deity. Be not afraid. In reality, they are the Father, Mother, Bhagavan, Amitabha. Believe in them concomitantly with recognition. God, they love to throw these words on me that I don't know what they mean. I thought I had quite a good vocab. Concomitantly with recognition, liberation will come. Concomitantly, maybe it's like if you do it with conviction and commitment. Through such acknowledging, recognizing them to be tutelary deities in at-one-ment, thou wilt merge into them and obtain Buddhahood. The 12th day. God, you would have thought they really would have got it by now. I mean, they're cutting it pretty fine. The 12th day, despite such setting face to face being still led backwards by evil propensities, terror and awe arising, it may be that one recognise not and flee. Thereupon on the 12th day, the blood-drinking deities of the karmic order, accompanied by the Karima, Hatemna and Wangchugma, I hope I've said those right, will come to receive one. Not recognising, terror may be produced, whereupon the setting face to face, calling the deceased by name thus: O nobly born, on the 12th day, the blood-drinking deity of the karmic order, named Karma Harua, dark green of colour, 3 faces, 6 hands and 4 feet firmly postured, the right face white, the left red, and the middle dark green, majestic of appearance. In the first of the right of the 6 hands holding a sword, in the middle one a trident staff, in the last a club. In the first of the left hands a bell, in the middle one a skull bowl, in the last a ploughshare. His body embraced by the mother Karma Krotishorima, her right hand clinging to his neck, the left offering to his mouth a red shell. The father and mother in union, issuing from the northern quarter of thy brain, will come to shine upon thee. Fear that not, be not terrified, be not awed. Recognise them to be the embodiment of thine own intellect, they being thine own tutelary deity. Be not afraid. In reality, they are the Father, Mother, Bhagavan Amoghar Siddhi. Believe and be humble, and be fond of them. Concomitantly with recognition, liberation will come. Through such acknowledging, recognising them to be tutelary deities in at-one-ment, thou wilt merge into them and obtain Buddhahood. Through the Guru's select teaching, one cometh to recognise them to be the thought forms issuing from one's own intellectual faculties. For instance, a person upon recognising a lion skin to be a lion skin is freed from fear, for though it may only be a stuffed lion, if one do not know it to be so actually, fear ariseth. But upon being told by some person that it is a lion skin only, one is freed from fear. Similarly here, too, when the bands of blood-drinking deities, huge of proportions, with very thick-set limbs, dawn as big as the skies, awe and terror are naturally produced in one. But as soon as the setting face to face is heard, one recogniseth them to be one's own tutelary deities, and one's own thought forms. Then, when upon the mother clear light, which one had been accustomed to formerly, a secondary clear light, the offspring clear light, coming together like 2 intimate acquaintances, blend inseparably, and therefrom a self-emancipating radiance dawneth upon one. Through self-enlightenment and self-knowledge one is liberated. The 13th day, lucky for some. In this setting face to face be not if this setting face to face be not obtained, good persons on the path too fall back from here and wander into the samsara. Then the 8 wrathful ones, the kerimas and the hatamenmas, is spelled H-T-A-M-E-N-M-A-S, having various animal heads, issue from within one's own brain and come to shine upon oneself. There upon the setting face to face is calling the deceased by name thus: O nobly born, listen undistractedly. On the 13th day, from the eastern quarter of thy brain, the 8 karimas will emanate and come to shine upon thee. Fear that not. From the east of thy brain, the white karima, holding a human corpse as a club in the right hand, in the left hand a skull bowl filled with blood will come to shine upon thee. Fear not. From the south, the yellow surima, holding a bow and arrow ready to shoot. From the west, the red pramoha, holding a makara banner. From the north, the black betali, holding a dorji and a blood-filled skull bowl. From the southeast, the red pukasi, holding intestines in the right hand. They love to eat intestines in Asia. And with the left, putting them to her mouth. There you go, holding intestines and with the other hand putting them to her mouth. What did I say? Holding them, Putting from the southwest, the dark green gazmari, the left hand holding a blood-filled skull bowl, with the right hand stirring it with the dorji, and she then drinking it with the majestic relish. From the northwest, the yellowish-white sandal, tearing asunder a head from a corpse, the right hand holding a heart, the left putting the corpse to the mouth, and she then eating thereof. From the northeast, the dark blue smasher, tearing asunder a head from a corpse and eating thereof. These, the 8 kerimas of the abodes of the 8 directions, also come to shine upon thee, surrounding the 5 blood-drinking fathers. Yet be not afraid. O nobly born, from the circle outside of them, the 8 hatemanas of the 8 regions of the brain will come to shine upon thee. From the east, the dark brown lion-headed one, the hands crossed on the breast, and in the mouth holding a corpse, and shaking the mane. From the south, the red-headed tiger one, the hands crossed downwards, grinning and showing the fangs, and looking on with protruding eyes. From the west, the black fox-headed one, the right hand holding a shaving knife, the left holding an intestine, and she eating and licking the blood therefrom. From the north, the dark blue wolf-headed one, the 2 hands tearing open a corpse and looking on with protruding eyes. From the southeast, the yellowish-white vulture-headed one, bearing a gigantic human-shaped corpse on the shoulder and holding a skeleton in the hand. From the southeast, the dark red cemetery bird-headed one. That's an interesting, the dark red cemetery bird-headed one. It's not the blue avians, is it? Only the red avians. Carrying a gigantic corpse on the shoulder. From the northwest, the black crow-headed one. The left hand holding a skull bowl, the right holding a sword, and she eating heart and lungs. From the northeast, the dark blue owl-headed one. Oh, here we go. Holding a dorji in the right hand and holding a skull bowl in the left and eating. They sound a little bit similar to the Egyptian animal-headed deities. I wonder if this had something to do with that they were seeing these on the other side. These 8 hatemanas of the 8 regions. Tamenmas. Maybe it's the 8 tamenmas of the 8 regions, likewise surrounding the blood-drinking fathers and issuing from within thy brain, come to shine upon thee. Fear that not. Know them to be the thought forms of thine own intellect. O nobly born, on the 14th day, the 4 female doorkeepers, also issuing from within thine own brain, will come to shine upon thee. Again recognize from the east quarter of thy brain will come to shine the white tiger-headed goad-holding goddess, bearing a blood-filled skull bowl in her left hand. From the south, the yellow sow-headed noose-holding goddess. From the west, the red lion-headed iron chain-holding goddess. And from the north, the green serpent-headed bell-holding goddess. Thus issue the 4 female doorkeepers, also from within thine own brain, and come to shine upon thee, as tutelary deities recognize them. O nobly born on the outer circle of these 30 wrathful deities, Herukas, the 28 various-headed mighty goddesses, bearing various weapons issuing from within thine own brain, will come to shine upon thee. Fear that not. Fear that not. Recognize whatever shineth to be the thought forms of thine own intellectual faculties. At this vitally important time, recollect the select teachings of the Guru. O nobly born, there will be dawn. From the east, the dark brown yak-headed Rakshasa goddess holding a dorji and a skull, and the reddish yellow serpent-headed Brahma goddess holding a lotus in her hand, and the greenish black leopard-headed great goddess holding a trident in her hand, and the blue monkey-headed goddess of inquisitiveness holding a wheel. I don't know why, but my little 3-year-old daughter just pops into my head when I hear that one. Holding a wheel. And the red snow bear-headed virgin goddess bearing a short spear in the hand, and the white bear-headed Indra goddess holding an intestine noose in the hand. These the 6 yoginis of the east, issuing from within the eastern quarter of thine own brain, will come to shine upon thee. Fear that not. O nobly born, from the south will dawn the yellow bat-headed delight goddess. Oh, I love bats. Holding a shaving knife in the hand, and the red Makara-headed peaceful goddess holding an urn in the hand, and the red scorpion-headed Amrita goddess holding a lotus in the hand, and the white kite-headed moon goddess holding a dorji in the hand, and the dark green fox-headed baton goddess flourishing a club in the hand, and the yellowish black tiger-headed Rakshashi holding a blood-filled skull bowl in the hand. These, the 6 yoginis of the south, issuing from within the southern quarter of thine own brain, will come to shine upon thee. Fear them not. O nobly born, from the west will dawn the greenish-black vulture-headed eater goddess, holding a baton in the hand, and the red horse-headed delight goddess, holding a huge trunk of a corpse, and the white eagle-headed mighty goddess, holding a club in the hand, and the yellow dog-headed Rakshasi holding a dorji in the hand and a shaving knife and cutting with this, and the red hoopoe-headed desire goddess holding a bow and arrow in the hand aimed at you, I guess, and the green stag-headed wealth guardian goddess holding an urn in the hand. These the 6 yoginis of the west, issuing from within the western quarter of thine own brain, will come to shine upon thee. Fear them not. O nobly born, from the north will dawn the blue wolf-headed wind goddess. This is starting to sound like an episode of Game of Thrones or something. I am the queen of dragons, waving a pennant in the hand, and the red ibex-headed woman goddess holding a pointed stake in the hand, and the black sow-headed sow goddess holding a noose of fangs in the hands, and the red crow-headed thunderbolt goddess holding an infant corpse in the hand, and the greenish-black elephant-headed big-nosed goddess holding in the hand a big corpse and drinking blood from a skull, and the blue serpent-headed water goddess holding in the hand a serpent noose. These the 6 yoginis of the north, issuing from within thine own northern quarter of thy brain, will come to shine upon thee. Fear them not. O nobly born, the 4 yoginis of the door, issuing from within thy own brain, will come to shine upon thee from the east, the black cuckoo-headed mystic goddess holding an iron hook in the hand from the south, the yellow goat-headed mystic goddess holding an iron hook in the hand from the south, the yellow goat-headed mystic goddess holding a noose in the hand from the west, the red lion-headed mystic goddess holding an iron chain in the hand and from the north, the greenish-black serpent-headed mystic goddess. These, the 4 door-keeping yoginis issuing from within the brain, will come to shine upon thee. Since these 28 mighty goddesses emanate from the bodily powers of Ratna Sambhava, here the 6 Heruku deities, recognize them. O nobly born, the peaceful deities emanate from the voidness of the Dharmakaya, recognize them. From the radiance of the Dharmakaya emanate the wrathful deities, recognize them. At this time, when the 58 blood-drinking deities emanate from thine own brain, come to shine upon thee. If thou knowest them to be the radiance of thine own intellect, thou wilt merge in the state of at-one-ment into the body of the blood-drinking ones, there and then, and obtain Buddhahood. O nobly born. So I guess they're not vegans then. They're not vegetarians. O nobly born. By not recognizing now and by fleeing from the deities out of fear, again sufferings will come to overpower thee. If this be not known, fear being begotten of the blood-drinking deities, one is awed and terrified and fainteth away. I'm feeling faint. You know, women don't do that anymore in movies enough. You know, in the good old days, in the black and white movies, women were always like, coming over all faint, you know, and sort of collapsing into their men's arms. We need to bring that back. One's own thought forms turn into illusory appearances, and one wandereth into the samsara. If one be not awed and terrified, one will not wander into the samsara. This is all really kind of hitting home with me. This idea of, you know, all is self, all is sort of an emanation of consciousness, all is an emanation of self, which is why there's so much effort put in by dark wizards to control self, to control consciousness, because consciousness is controlling everything. You know, it's controlling what you're seeing after death, what you're experiencing, where you're going, and all really is one. You know, everything is an emanation of self. And that's, I believe that. You know, not everyone agrees with that, but I have to say I do believe that. So really, we're only captive of our own suffering, of our own consciousness. That's why it's so important to clean your own mind. It doesn't matter what you believe at the end of the day. You know, it really doesn't. Whatever shaped planet you're living on, or, you know, whatever sort of aliens you believe in, whatever god or religion you believe in, it seems that none of that really matters. The only thing that truly matters is what kind of person you are on the level of your consciousness. Are there parts of yourself that frighten and terrorize you? Have you cleared the shadow self? Have you effaced all parts of yourself and accepted them? You know, if you judge people really harshly in this lifetime, will you be judging yourself really harshly in the afterlife when you have to sort of face yourself? You know, all these kind of things. I think this is really what the spiritual path is all about. You know, all the rest is just entertainment, bells and whistles. It all really just comes down to, are you a loving person, and have you accepted your own inner shadow? You know, because we all have an inner shadow. None of us are perfect. If we were perfect, we wouldn't be here. God knows I have a really ugly monster woman shadow self. God, you know, I can look back in my life and just see sometimes I've been horrid. You know, I've been jealous. I've had dark thoughts. I've been depressed. I've been self-hating. You know, all these things have been in my life. You know, so I can say, you have to look at those shadows in yourself and admit, yes, you know, I've been a manipulative, or, you know, any of those kind of shadow elements, and it's fine to really face them and not be afraid of them. And that then somehow after, you know, your death, you will then be able to liberate yourself from this cycle, because you won't be afraid of anything, and you'll just be able to reconnect and become, at one with the truth. The truth is this state of oneness. That is the truth. I guess that's what I'm getting from this book. I'd love to hear your comments anyway down below and see what you guys are getting from this. And maybe we can buddy up, you know, when we die. I can read it for you or you can read it for me. We can do a buddy system. Okay, let's get back to the text, shall we? So, furthermore, the bodies of the largest of the peaceful and wrathful deities are equal in vastness to the limits of the heavens. Oh, the limits of the, it says the heaves. In vast to the limits of the heaves. I think it means heavens. I think that's a typo. The intermediate, as big as Mount Meru. The smallest, equal to 18 bodies, such as thine own body, set one upon another. Be not terrified at that. Be not awed. If all existing phenomena shining forth as divine shapes and radiances be recognized to be the emanations of one's own intellect, Buddhahood will be obtained at the very instant of recognition. The saying, Buddhahood will be obtained in a moment of time, is that which applieth now. Bearing this in mind, one will obtain Buddhahood by merging in at one moment into the radiances of the Kayas. O nobly born, whatever fearful and terrifying visions thou mayst see, recognize them to be thine own thought forms. O nobly born, if thou recognize not and be frightened, then all the peaceful deities excuse me, will shine forth in the shape of Mahakala, and all the wrathful deities will shine forth in the form of Dharmaraja, the Lord of Death, and thine own thought forms become illusions or maras. Thou wilt wander into the samsara. O nobly born, if one recognize not one's own thought forms, however learned one may be in the scriptures, both sutras and tantras, although practicing religions for a kalpa, one obtaineth not Buddhahood. If one recognize one's own thought forms by one important art and by one word, Buddhahood is obtained. So you really, all you have to do is accept yourself. In one's thought forms be not recognized as soon, if one's thought forms be not recognized as soon as one dieth, the shapes of Dharmaraja, the Lord of Death, will shine forth on the Chonyid Bardo, the largest of the bodies of Dharmaraja, the Lord of Death, equaling the heavens in vastness, the intermediate Mount Meru, the smallest 18 times one's own body, will come filling the world's systems. They will come having their upper teeth biting the nether lip, their eyes glassy, their hairs tied up in the top of their head, big-bellied, narrow-waisted, holding a karmic record board in the hand, giving utterance from their mouth to sounds of strike, slay, licking human brain, drinking blood, and tearing heads from corpses, and tearing out the hearts, and thus will they come, filling the worlds. O nobly born, when such thought forms emanate, be thou not afraid, not terrified. The body which now thou possessest, being a mental body of karmic propensities, though slain and chopped to bits, cannot die. Well, you know, when you have a Kundalini awakening, there's a part which is called like disembodiment, which is where you literally experience being like chopped up into little pieces and like eaten by a snake, only to be reborn. And if you can allow that to happen, they call it surrendering to the Kundalini. If you can allow that to happen and you are not afraid, it's like a test you pass, and then you get more divine energy through your body because you could let go of the illusion of self. So this is a very kind of crossing over into that as well. Because thy body is in reality one of voidness, thou needest not fear. The bodies of the Lord of Death too are emanations from the radiance of thine own intellect. They are not constituted of matter. Voidness cannot injure voidness. Beyond the emanations of thine own intellectual faculties externally, the peaceful and the wrathful ones, the blood-drinking ones, the various-headed ones, the rainbow lights, the terrifying forms of the Lord of Death, exist not in reality. Of this there is no doubt. Thus, knowing this, all the fear and terror is self-dissipated, and merging in the state of at-one-ment, Buddhahood is obtained. If thou recognisest in that manner, exerting thy faith and affection towards the tutelary deities, and believing that they have come to receive thee amidst the ambuscades of the Bardo, think, I take refuge in them, and remember the precious Trinity, exerting towards them the Trinity fondness and faith. Whosoever thine own tutelary deity may be, recollect now, and calling him by name, pray thus. Alas, wandering am I in the Bardo, run to my rescue, uphold me by thy grace. O precious tutelary, calling upon the name of thine own Guru, pray this. Alas, wandering am I in the Bardo, rescue me. O let not thy grace forsake me. Have faith in the blood-drinking deities too, and offer up this prayer. Alas, when I am wandering in the samsara through force of overpowering illusions, on the light path of the abandonment of fright, fear and awe, may the bands of the Bhagavans and the peaceful and wrathful ones lead me. May the bands of the wrathful goddess, rich in space, be my rear guard, and save me from the fearful ambuscades of the Bardo, and place me in the state of the perfectly enlightened Buddhas, when wandering alone, separated from dear friends, when the void forms of one's own thoughts are shining here, may the Buddhas, exerting the force of their grace, cause not to come the fear, awe and terror in the Bardo, when the 5 bright wisdom lights are shining here. May recognition come without dread and without awe, when the divine bodies of the peaceful and the wrathful are shining here. May the assurance of fearlessness be obtained and the Bardo be recognised. When, by the power of evil karma, misery is being tasted, may the tutelary deities dissipate the misery. When the natural sound of reality is reverberating like 1,000 thunders, may they be transmuted into the sound of the 6 syllables. When unprotected, karma having to be followed here, I beseech the gracious, compassionate one to protect me. When suffering miseries of karmic propensities here, may the blissfulness of the clear light dawn. May the 5 elements not rise up as enemies, but may I behold the realms of the 5 orders of the enlightened ones. Thus in earnest faith and humility offer up the prayer, whereby all fears will vanish and Buddhahood in the Sambhoga Kaya will undoubtedly be won. Important is this. That starts to sound like a Yoda. Important is this. Being undistracted, repeat it in that manner 3 or even 7 times. However heavy the evil karma may be, and however weak the remaining karma may be, it is not possible that liberation will not be obtained if one but recognise. If nevertheless, despite everything done in these stages of the Bardo, recognition is still not brought about, then there being danger of one's wandering further into the 3rd Bardo, called the Sidpa Bardo. The setting face to face for that will be shown in detail hereinafter. Right, so now we get to the conclusion, showing the fundamental importance of the Bardo teaching. And then I'm going to bring it to an end of this snippet. Whatever the religious practices of anyone may have been, whether extensive or limited, during the moments of death, various misleading illusions occur, and hence this thodol is indispensable. To those who have meditated much, the real truth dawneth as soon as the body and consciousness principle part. The acquiring of experience while living is important. They who have then recognized the true nature of their own being, and thus have had some experience obtaining great power during the Bardo of the moments of death, when the clear light dawneth. Again, the meditation on the deities of the mystic path of the mantra, both in the visualizing and the perfecting stages while living, will be of great influence when the peaceful and wrathful visions dawn on the Chonyid Bardo. Thus, the training in this Bardo being of particular importance, even while living, hold to it, read it, commit it to memory, bear it in mind properly. Read it regularly thrice, let the words and the meanings be very clear. It should be so that the words and the meanings will not be forgotten, even though 100 executioners were pursuing thee. It is called the great liberation by hearing, because even those who have committed the 5 boundless sins are sure to be liberated if they hear it by the path of the ear. Therefore read it in the midst of vast congregations, disseminate it. That's what I'm doing right now. Through having heard it once, even though one do not comprehend it, it will be remembered in the intermediate state, without a word being omitted, for the intellect becometh ninefold more lucid there. Hence it should be proclaimed in the ears of all living persons. It should be read over the pillows of all persons who are ill. It should be read at the side of all corpses. It should be spread broadcast. Those who meet with this doctrine are indeed fortunate. Save for them who have accumulated much merit and absolved many obscurations, difficult is it to meet with it. Even when met with, difficult is it to comprehend it. Liberation will be won through simply not disbelieving it upon hearing it. Therefore, treat this doctrine very dearly. It is the essence of all doctrines. The setting face to face while experiencing reality in the intermediate state, called the teaching which liberateth by merely being heard, and that which liberateth by merely being attached, is finished. And then it goes to book 2, which I shall read in part 4. So there you go. Do you feel liberated, my friends? I really would be so overjoyed to feel that me just recording this and speaking it to you now had somehow helped you to liberate yourself in the afterlife, even though I may never meet you in the flesh, and maybe we shall only know each other for a short time. To feel like I may have touched your soul in that way. There's no better way to spend a Friday night, that's all I can say. It's Friday here, and so cheers to that. And it's really weird because I've had this big urge to start working with people who are close to death. I've always, well, not always, for a while now, I've had this feeling that I had a gift for working with people close to death. And I never quite really understood what that was. So I thought maybe I could volunteer at a hospice, helping people pass over to guide them in the afterlife. And now I'm beginning to think that there was a reason why I was having those thoughts. Perhaps I need to start reading this to people as they're on their deathbed. Could be something that I'm here to do. It could well be. Well, cheers guys, and I love you, and I hope you enjoyed that. See you in part 4. One love.